Well, good afternoon. Welcome. Whether you're joining me live or watching the replay, glad to have you here. So go ahead and come into a seat that you find comfortable. It might be a cross legged seat, similar to how I'm sitting, or you might be sitting in another way, but just arrange yourself for comfort. And then as you close your eyes, begin to notice how you're feeling today. What physical sensations might be present, what thoughts, what emotions are present for you. And then as you're checking in with your insides, begin to invite a slow and steady quality to your breath. So that with each inhale and exhale, you feel yourself arriving in the space that you find yourself in, as well as landing in awareness of your present. All right, we'll guide our palms together in front of the heart, interlace the fingers, press the palms forward and up. Start to reach up through one hand and up through the other side, left and right a few times. Just gently tug on your fingers as you reach up through one arm and then the other. All right, let your hands separate, take them behind your back. Interlace your fingers there, squeeze your shoulder blades together, open up across your chest. Begin to turn the head side to side. And then reach your chin up and drop it down. And just do that a few times, lifting the chin up, stretching the front of the neck, and dropping it down, sensing into the back of the neck. And one more time, lifting up and dropping down. All right, so bring your head back up to center, release your arms, let your hands rest on your thighs, and then take your chest and your belly forward, take your head back and reach your tailbone back. So, kind of an arced shape to your spine. This is seated cat and cow. And then as you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round your back forward, and bring your chin toward your chest. And do that a few times as you inhale, chest and belly forward, head and tail back. Exhale, tuck and round. All right, two more breaths in the same way. All right, as you bring your torso up to center, we'll take the right hand over to the left knee and then the left hand towards the floor behind you. And then as you inhale, grow tall, so lifting up through the top of the head. And then as you exhale, just begin to twist over toward your left side. So your left shoulder is moving back as much as is comfortable and possible. And then turn the head to look back. Relax your forehead, your cheeks, your jaw, any gripping in the fingers. All right, take one more breath. All right, coming back to center, we'll take this right leg out at an angle. So just take it kind of out at an angle, and then walk your right hand down your right leg. Move the left shoulder back in space. So you're kind of looking out over your left shoulder, turning away from that right leg, looking over to the left, and then sweep your left arm up alongside your head. And as you reach with that left hand, just begin to squeeze and release your fingers, as well as rotate through the wrist. Rotate a couple of times each way, releasing any tension you might feel there. All right, take a deep breath in and lift up. And then exhale, release your left hand down. Bring that right leg back in and we'll twist to the other side. So take your left hand now over to your right knee and then right hand towards the floor behind you. Inhale, grow tall, lifting up through the top of the head. And then exhale as you twist to your right side. Let the right shoulder move back as far as is comfortable and possible, making way for the head to turn and look back. Couple of deep breaths. One more round of breath. All right, slowly untwist back to center. This time we'll take the left leg out at an angle. Walk your left hand down your left leg. Move the right shoulder back in space. You're kind of turning away from your left leg, looking off at an angle. And then sweep that right arm up alongside your head. As you reach with that right hand, squeeze and release the fingers a few times, as well as rotate through your wrist a few times each way. All right, another inhale, lift up. And exhale, release your right hand all the way down. All right, transition onto hands and knees. So as you come to hands and knees, just start with your hands under your shoulders and then your knees right close together. And then lift your left knee up and out to the side. Just lift it as high as you're able to lift your leg. And now as we start to rotate through the hip, try to keep your arms straight and your torso relatively still. So most, if not all, of the movement is coming from your left leg and hip. So left knee draws a circle. A couple of times in one direction. Again, try to keep your torso pretty neutral and your arms straight. All right, change directions. Same leg. Now, the next time that you inhale, reach your left leg straight back. Exhale, pull your left knee into your chest. Again, inhale, left leg back. Exhale, knee into the chest. One more inhale. And exhale. All right, as you take your left leg back this time, cross it over the right leg, drop the toes. You might spin your fingers out to ease the pressure on the wrists as you curve your spine to the right, peeking back at your left foot. This should feel like a side bend, so your left shoulder is even kind of moving forward a little bit away from the hip. All right, bring your torso back to neutral, and then we'll step the left foot forward into a lunge. All right, let it be a short lunge so that your front knee is roughly over the ankle and your right hip is roughly over your knee. And then lift up. Take the right hand to rest on the left leg, and then sweep your left hand forward and up and back and down. Rotating through your left shoulder, but also letting the torso fully twist as you take your arm back. Almost like your arm is kind of pulling the torso into and then out of a twist. Notice any sounds or popping in various joints. All right, so the next time you take your left arm back, pause in your twist, and then turn that left palm up. Turn the head to look back. All right, one more breath. So as you take your left hand forward, take both hands to the floor, and then step forward into a forward fold. So your feet are now about hip distance or a little bit wider. Your knees can be a little bit bent or a lot bent. Sometimes it's nice to lay the belly on or between the thighs here. And then release the weight of your head. Shake it yes and shake it no. All right, walk your hands up the fronts of your legs. Rising to stand. As you come to stand, sweep your arms out and then up. Deep breath in. As you exhale, grab your right wrist and lean to the left. So your hips are pressing to the right, hands are going to the left. Inhale, come back up to center. Switch wrists. Exhale, lean to the right, hips to the left. Once again to each side. Inhale up to center. Exhale over to the left. And one more inhale up. Exhale to the right. All right, now inhale, come up. And exhale, fold over your legs, bend your knees, hands to the floor, walk your feet back. Going to end up in downward facing dog, so your hips are up in the air. Feet are about hip distance, maybe even wider. Bend one knee, straighten the opposite leg, switch back and forth. All right, inhale, rock forward into plank pose, so your shoulders come over your wrists. Lengthen from head to feet, feel your legs engage here. Exhale, lift back up, finding downward dog. All right, now as you release to your knees, take them together again. And we'll repeat that whole sequence on the right side. So just start by lifting your right knee up and out to the side. Pause there. And remember, when we do this hip rotation, we're going to try to keep the arms straight and the torso relatively still. All right, when you're ready, start to rotate. So your right knee draws a big circle. A couple of times in one direction. And a couple of times the opposite way. All right, next time you inhale, reach the right foot back. Exhale, right knee into the chest, round your back. Two more, inhale, reach back. Exhale, knee into the chest. And one more, breathing in. And breathing out. All right, as you take your leg back this time, cross it over the left leg, dropping the toes over to the floor on the left. Spin the fingers out and curve the spine to the left. So you're peeking back at that right foot. Again, it should feel like a side bend, so your right shoulder's kind of moving further forward away from that right hip. All right, one more breath. All right, guide your torso back to neutral. And then we'll step the right foot forward into that same short lunge. So knee over ankle with the front leg, and then hip over knee with the back leg. Lifting up. Left hand to right knee. Right hand sweeps forward and up and back and down. Rotating several times through the shoulder, but again, feeling the rotation of your torso as your arm moves. All right, so the next time that you take your right arm back, go ahead and pause in the twist. Turn the right palm up and look back towards your right hand. All right, bring the right hand forward. Both hands to the floor. And again, step forward into your forward fold. Feet about hip distance or wider. Knees bent a little bit or a lot, depending on what feels right in your body. Release the weight of your head. Again, shake it yes, shake it no. Even let the muscles of your face and jaw get all droopy and relaxed. Feel the weight of your eyes, the weight of your ears. Again, walk your hands up the fronts of your legs. This time, shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. Take them back and down. Again, shrug up and back and down, and then one more up and back and down. All right, now we'll turn and step wide on the mat. Turn your toes out and your heels slightly in, so that now as we bend the knees, you can come into what is often called a horse stance or goddess warrior pose. So your knees are bending in the direction that your toes are pointing. So pressing the feet into the floor and pressing your knees back towards the space behind you so that you feel a bit of a stretch in the insides of your legs and engagement in your hips. All right, take your arms out to the sides, bend your elbows, and then do the same with your arms as you're doing with your legs. So push the elbows back, open across the chest, feel the muscles between your shoulder blades engage. Spread the fingers wide apart. Find one spot for your eyes to focus. Balance your weight between the left and right sides of your body. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. 3 more. And one more. All right, let your legs straighten. Parallel your feet to each other. Straighten the arms and bring them forward, and then just take your left arm underneath your right arm. Now, for some of us, it'll be possible to cross the arms above the elbows and twist the arms together. For others, that doesn't work. So you can just take elbows and hands together. All right, so either way, left arm underneath or forearms and palms together. Begin to sense into that space between your shoulder blades. Couple rounds of breath. All right, unravel your arms. Take your hands behind your back. So when we were seated, we interlaced the fingers. And what you'll notice is that you have a habitual way of crossing your hands. So typically one of your thumbs will always be the one on top. Do the opposite. So you have your opposite thumb on top. Again, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Open up across the chest. We're going to fold forward here. So try to keep your torso nice and long. When you start to fold forward, some of us will automatically round and slump the spine, but try to keep your torso nice and long and your chest open. All right, so take a breath in and exhale, begin to fold. If you start to feel your torso rounding and your tailbone kind of tucking under, just pause at that point where you can keep your torso nice and long and your shoulders back. All right, we'll take 5 breaths. No matter how far you have folded forward, bend your knees so you can use the strength of your legs to push down and lift your torso up. Release the arms, give them a little shake out. And then we'll repeat what we've done on the other side. So again, start with your toes pointed out, your heels slightly in. As we did before, bend the knees, start to squat down. Any amount that is steady for you. And then once you've done that with your legs, do the same with the arms. Elbows bent. So elbows are pushing back, knees are pushing back. You feel the back side of your body engaged, especially the place between the shoulder blades and the hips, the gluteal muscles. All right, so elbows back, knees back. Focus on one spot. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. 2 more. Last one. All right, straighten your legs. Straighten the arms, bring them forward. This time it's the right arm underneath. Now, as before, some of us, our arms can cross above the elbows and then arms twist together. For some of us, it works better for elbows and hands to be together. Either way, focus on that space between the shoulder blades and breathe. All right, release the arms, take them behind your back. Again, interlace the fingers with your non-dominant thumb on top. So not necessarily which hand you write with, but which hand is not normally the thumb on top. So the one that feels a little weird. And again, this is the forward fold. As you interlace your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together, open up across your chest, and then start to fold forward, but try to keep your torso nice and long as you do it. Remember, if you start to slump and round your back, that's kind of the point where you need to stop. All right, so shoulders back, chest open, fold forward a little bit or a lot, depending on what works best for you. All right, 5 breaths. All right, again, bend your knees so you can use the strength of your legs to push down and lift up. Release the arms, give them a little shake out. All right, step near the back of your mat. As you inhale, sweep your arms up. As you exhale, fold forward, bend your knees, walk forward into downward dog. Hips up. All right, one plank. Inhale, rock forward. Strong legs, belly engaged. Exhale, downward dog. All right, as you now release to your knees, come all the way down onto your back. And as you come to your back, hug your knees into your chest. Give them a little squeeze, little rock side to side. All right, drop both knees over to the left. You can let your left hand rest on your top knee. Send that right arm over to the right. And just start to allow that right arm to melt away from your legs. See which way your head wants to turn. And just let yourself relax into the floor. Breathing in and out through the nose. All right, take one more breath. All right, guide your knees back to center. If you have any low back discomfort, maybe take one knee at a time, rocking back slowly. And then cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Bring your legs in toward your chest, reaching through for that left leg. Now, if reaching all the way through to your left leg doesn't work for your proportions, maybe you're just grabbing that right leg and hugging the foot in. The left foot could even rest on the floor. Because this posture, we're really focusing on awareness and attention to that right hip. So whether you're just holding your right foot or the left leg, notice how the right hip feels. Maybe you rock a little. Hmm. All right, one more cycle of breath. All right, as you uncross that right leg, take both knees back into the chest, and then let them drop over to the right side. Send your left arm back over to the left. Again, you might rest that right hand on your top knee, but really allow this left arm to melt away from both knees. Head and neck are relaxed. All right, take one more round of breath. And then ease your legs back to center. Again, one knee at a time if you have any low back discomfort today. Once you're back on your back, then cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Guide your legs into your chest, reaching through for that right leg. Or again, if that doesn't work for your proportions, maybe you're just focusing on holding on to the left foot as you hug the leg in. Either way, rock a little side to side, checking in with your left hip. All right, then release your feet down to the floor. Step them wider than your hips, maybe about mat distance apart. And then sway the knees side to side. All right, with the feet still wide apart, drop the knees in toward each other. Let your hands rest on your belly so that now, as you start to focus back on your breath, you're breathing in deeply enough that your belly begins to move. So even though breath isn't going into the belly itself, the expansion of your lungs gently presses down on your abdominal organs, and you feel this sense of expansion in the belly. And as you exhale, let yourself melt and relax into the floor. A couple more breaths in this way. All right, one more cycle of breath. Let your left arm come up alongside your head and then roll over to rest on your left side. Pausing for a moment here, a breath or two. All right, and then press yourself up and into a seated position. And once you come into that seat, we'll bring our palms together in front of the heart as we bow to the light within ourselves as well as each other. Thank you again for practicing with me, whether you are live with me or watching a replay. As always, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave that below the video. Thank you. Bye-bye.